Good evening and welcome to the Black Raven Report. Sorry for being so delayed on my last videos. I just happened to be sick and my voice might sound weird, and if that's the case, sorry about that. I will do my best to get through this video. It's kind of short, there wasn't much information on it, so here we go. Today's story is of Susan Coleman, and though I spent a long time looking for information, I could not find very much. I tried my best to bring as much light to her case as I could, but I hope you find it interesting, and thank you for being here on the Black Raven Report. This is another X in the Clinton Blacklist. The year is 1976, and Susan Coleman has caught the eye and attention of Bill Clinton. And this would be where their relationship and affair would ultimately end Susan's life. Allegedly. Now, no matter how much I looked up during this time, I couldn't find out how old she was, but just based on Bill's history of choices in women, I could assume she was probably younger than him. Before there was Monica Lewinsky, Mary Mahoney, Leslie Milwee, Paula Jones, Kathleen Wiley, Juanita Broderick, Christy Zurcher, Jennifer Flowers, Eileen Wellstone, Sandra James, Karen Hinton, Myra Miller, Elizabeth Grayson, Dolly Browning, a University of Arkansas professor, and I'm sure many more unaccounted for. There was Susan Coleman, and I don't think I need to explain any further with names, but Bill has an infidelity issue, and a legendary one at that. So legendary, in fact, that there became an entire government-funded unit to cover up his infidelity. Now, this government agency was called Bimbo Eruptions, but also went by the Defense Department. And, handpicked by Hillary Clinton herself, Betsy Wright was placed in charge of Bimbo Eruptions, and she was best known as the Secretary of Defense. Now, Betsy Ross White was a political activist, a lobbyist, an abortionist, and a prisoners' rights activist. She would later go on to be charged with 51 felonies. 48 of them would end up being dropped, and she would be sentenced to 1 year of probation and a fine of $2,000. Now, Betsy wasn't a good woman. She wasn't a nice woman. Pretty sure she was probably not even a woman. But Betsy coined the phrase bimbo eruption, saying it was all about the contempt the Clinton world had for women with poor judgment to succumb to Bill's wiles. It's kind of offensive for someone who's a feminist. Now, Susan seemed to be the case study to see if extermination was the route when it came to people causing potential problems, because sometimes money can't pay off bad sexual decisions. Now, obviously speculation, because there's a plethora of those women that are still alive that he's had sexual encounters with. But, circumstances, blackmail, and a whole bunch of other things can always lead to stuff, But this is just a fun dive anyways, right? But according to an independent investigator named Floyd Brown, found that Susan Coleman was having an affair with her law professor at the University of Arkansas, presumed to be Bill Clinton. Around the middle of 1976, Susan would find herself with child, and it must have been told to Bill that she had fallen pregnant, but we will never know if that child was Bill's or not. During this time, Bill Clinton would be the acting Attorney General of Arkansas, and on February 15th, 1977, Susan Coleman was shot in the back of the head, and she was found to be 7.5 months pregnant, and the child was alleged to be Clinton's, though not proven. Susan was found dead with a gunshot to the back of the head, and it was ruled a suicide, while pregnant and reaching the gun around the back of her head. I'm going to take a moment real quick and demonstrate what this would look like with this $15 light from Walmart. Take the gun. Here you go. All right. You're going to take it. Obviously, not so obviously. Well, I can't actually use that arm. It doesn't go that far back anymore. But you take the gun. Left arm. This makes no sense. You would never do that. But anyways. Enough demonstrations. Now this is where politics gets involved. Everyone hounds the family, gets the facts covered up, and things that should have justice just get discarded. Now, Investigator Brown, he was relentless in his pursuit of information, but not always in the best manner. CBS and DNC were pushing hard to get the FEC to stop Floyd's investigation because it was hurting Clinton's campaign. So, Marlon Fitzwater said in his FEC complaint, "With today's actions, we are moving closer to the goal of stopping Floyd Brown and his associates from their activities," Fitzwater said. And Mr. Brown responded with, "I'm not going to do anything different. We are not doing anything illegal. If I followed orders from George Bush and stopped, that would be a violation. We are independent." Following that, Brown was told not to air his ad on TV, in which it raised questions about Clinton's character. It invited viewers to call an 800 number to listen to conversations between Jennifer Flowers. It's another person who had claimed to have an affair with Bill. Following that incident, CBS received an anonymous letter mass mailed to the news organization. It was alleging that Susan Coleman's 1977 suicide told of a love affair with her law professor, Bill Clinton, that left her pregnant, like we had talked about before. Though we cannot be sure if the letter was real or not. Brown had interviewed Susan's sister about her death, and on the transcript of the interview, it was shown that he had asked her, "Was she depressed? You won't even answer if she's depressed." And then she goes on to say something unintelligible, and then he interrupts her, "Was she suicidal?" And then Susan's sister responds with, "Please just leave my family alone." Now, I don't know if that's because they're scared, but it was probably just because they want privacy, because they just lost a family member. Brown always stayed strong, stating that if a man is ever involved in an extramarital affair, he should not be president. Unfortunately, though, this is all we know. I searched through all the archives and dug through a lot of the muck, trying not to bring too much of the speculation. Though this did almost happen 50 years ago, and there were not very many records kept or held or digitized, probably. And this is all I have for you today. I hope you found it interesting. And go ahead and leave a comment down below if the Clintons have ever hurt or threatened you. This is the Black Raven Report. Take care and be safe.